Good morning. Good morning, George. Hi, Veronica. Hi, Crystal. Good morning, good morning. Alice is finally up to date. Incredible. All right. I've got my Band-Aid on. It's almost healed, but it keeps cracking open. It looks disgusting. So I'm saving you. Today, we're going to do Bom dia. We're going to do these little stepping stones, and we're going to do the padded satin stitch. So it's just like the regular satin stitch, but it's going to be raised off of your fabric a little bit more than the regular satin stitch. And to do that, we're actually going to do a chain stitch on the outside and fill it in a little bit, not solid, just filled in. And then we'll do a satin stitch over top of that. So you can do a lot of different stitches for the inside. I'm going to do a chain stitch on the outside edge and then just a couple rows of chain stitch in the middle. This part doesn't have to look nice because we're going to cover it completely. Also, I just want to say, yes, I need to do my nails. This one got ripped off. These ones are so long, but I can't do it because of my blister, because I have to put my fingernails in the acetone and it's gonna hurt so bad. So I have to wait. So apologies. Gross. So yeah, I can't take them off because of the open wound. And I can't really redo them. So you're just gonna have to stick with me, okay? Also, I'm meant to be getting some orders today. All my threads are supposed to come today because they didn't come yesterday. They didn't come Friday. They're supposed to come today. So I'm sorry if the doorbell goes whilst I'm doing this. So I'm just apologizing for all the things first. All right, I'm going to zoom in and let's move this over like this. I'm going to start on one of the bigger ones and do all of it so you can see how it's done. And then I might do one or two more. Do you know what I mean? Because they will take a little bit of time. But that's why we're doing it today. So you have a couple extra days to do some extra things because these here won't take very long. This big one on the side won't take very long. But these will. So I'm going to stop talking. Let's just do it. So like I said before, we're going to do the chain stitch on the outside and fill it in just a couple rows. The chain stitch was this one, so you can do it whichever way you like, the regular chain stitch way or the reverse chain stitch way. Totally up to you. So let's just go. Let's just do it. So I'm doing just a regular brown, number 839 if you really would like to know. But for the actual padded part, so the satin stitch that goes over the top, for that part I've actually mixed two colors together because I want them to be like stones. So you can do any kind of mixing you want. You can do light brown, dark brown. I've actually mixed a light brown and a dark brown together. I've got 2 strands of each, see, so that when they go over there, it will give like a little bit lighter color. But you can do however you want to. Gray stones, you could do a totally different stitch for this, up to you. So obviously we're just gonna go around here. Hi, Jamie. Jamie T. In my head, I do that every time. Every time that I see a message or I see you on the live. I don't know why. That's ridiculous. So for the inside, I said we're going to do a couple rows, you just need to fill it up a little bit, or else in the middle, your satin stitch will dip down and then go back up again over each of the edges. So it'll almost look like a dip, you know? And we don't really want to have that. Just a minute. Just David. He's up there taking the sheets off the bed. Because it's meant to be nice today and tomorrow. And so we're washing our sheets so we can hang them outside. Such an adult thing to say, isn't it? It's meant to be sunny, so we're going to hang our sheets outside so they dry quicker. Oh, Lordy. Isn't that silly? So yeah, you can do the chain stitch or reverse chain stitch. You could also just do a split stitch around the outside if you want to. But I think that this gives a little bit more padding because it's a thicker stitch this way. It's like wider. And I'm only using 3 strands for the outline. And I'm going to use 4 strands for the satin stitch over top. And obviously, if you have a look at this and you think this is not my jam, I do not want to do this at all, then just don't do it. Don't think just because I've done it this way, it means that you have to do it this way. I know I say it all the time. But I'm serious. Just don't do it. So all I'm going to do for the middle is just fill in a couple rows. Again, you could do this with just with like a split stitch or even like some straight stitches in the middle. But again, if you do straight stitches, you really want to fill it up because you don't want to have your satin stitches over the top dip down in the middle. You want it to look like almost like you have a padding, like a piece of felt or something underneath of it, you know? You want it to be like raised up completely. Maybe I'll just need 3 here. We'll see. And for the middle, they don't have to be perfect. We're just filling them in so that your satin stitches has something to lay on. So this is kind of like the admin part, you know? And even if you feel over the top, you can really feel how this really dips down there. Okay, I think I will have to do one more. Just a little one. Now after this, I'm going to change my thread and put on the mixed color that I've just shown you. So it's got the 2 different color browns or tans. Whoop, there we go. What is happening? So that should be pretty filled. I'm just going to do a little knot on the back. And obviously, I would do, like, if I were doing this just myself, not teaching all the steps first, so that someone can, you know, go away and do it by themselves if they want to. Obviously, I would do all of the padded underneath stitches first, and then go back and do all of the satin stitches on the top second. So obviously you can do that. It's a little bit quicker because you don't have to keep changing for every single stone. But for the tutorial's sake, obviously I'm doing it this way. Okay. And for these ones, we're just gonna do a regular satin stitch. So you can do the thread saver method if you want to. You can do just the regular way where you always come up on one side, always go down on the other. That's up to you. You can also do your satin stitches horizontally across 3 strands for the chain stitch. Horizontally across here, or you can do them vertically like this. That's totally up to you. Whichever ways that you choose is fine. I'm gonna do mine the long ways across, I think. Maybe I'll do mine up and down. I'll do mine up and down. Like this, or like this. Either way, it really doesn't matter because you're just gonna fill it all up anyways. Let's do a cross and see what happens. Normally, I would say to do these stitches, these filler stitches in the opposite direction of the way that you want to fill it. Because if you have, let me zoom in and see if you can see a little bit better. If you have stitches that go straight across here, it's more likely that they will fall into these dips. See how I didn't fill it in all the way? So when you put this here over, so I've got 2 strands of each. This one right here, if I pull it too tight, it might fall into that dip. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So yeah, I completely forgot to say that before, and I'm sorry about that. But if you know that you want to make them go horizontal across, like this, I would make the filler stitches up and down that way, so that when you go across, they don't fall into any of these ditches. But if you want them to go up and down, make them go across. Okay, I hope that's clear. So for this crisscrossing, it's a little bit difficult to see because we have to use the same color as our padding. And that helps to really like make it one disguised, yeah? So that you don't have like a bright red padded stitch and then these over top of it. And then if you don't make them exactly right next to each other, it won't be that big of a deal because you won't be able to see. You won't be able to see in between the stitches. Okay, so for this one, you just want to work on going down on the other side, just not too far into this white fabric. So I'm literally just kind of hugging these stitches and like enclosing them almost. Yeah, so with this, you really can't do the lines to make it. What is going on over here? To help to make your stitches parallel to each other, but that's okay. Because by now, we've all practiced and we all do really good satin stitches, right? So again, this is 2 strands of each color. You could just do one color if you wanted. That's totally fine. And all we're doing is just doing the satin stitch over those stitches that we've just done. So that's why I said it doesn't really matter if they're really neat. It doesn't matter if they're all the same size. Doesn't matter. These on the edge, you just want to be a little bit careful with. Make sure that they're really enclosing and making the same shape. You know, you don't really want to like alter the shape of what you've already outlined. I know I'm extremely close and I'm sorry about that. But I feel like with the color, dark colors are always hard to see anyways. So hopefully by now you'll be able to see how it is more padded than a regular satin stitch. It's not meant to lay flat onto your fabric. It's meant to be raised up. This is 2 strands of each color. Yeah, so I've got 2 colors, so it's 4 strands. 2 strands of each color. It's quite clear, can see well what you're doing. Okay, I'm glad. I always hate using the dark colors, but I really liked these 2 colors together, so I thought maybe it would be okay. Mary says, ooh, I looked away for a moment and the chain stitch disappeared. Yeah, so this is the padded satin stitch. Padded satin stitch. Now let me just zoom back out for a minute and I'm going to turn my hoop and then you can see how it's more raised. Man, this thing, let me tell you. You can tell that it's more raised up off than any of the other ones. So even if you look over here on the satin stitch that we did with 6 strands, this was the 6-strand satin stitch, these leaves here. You can tell that they're really, really flat and smooth onto your fabric. But the padded satin stitch is actually like raised up. So the first step, again, is going to be doing a chain stitch outline and filling it in with your chain stitches. And actually you can see that it didn't really matter that I didn't do it like a T pattern. So I know previously I said that, and I forgot to tell you that, if you want to do your satin stitches horizontally, you should do your other ones vertically like this so that they lay over it almost like a T or a plus sign. Yeah, but you can see that I didn't do it that way. I did them both horizontally. So I did my chain stitches horizontally this way and I did my padded satin stitches over top of that. And it really didn't make a difference. So it will be like a nice little padded stepping stone. So that was my intention. I hope it's effective. We'll see. So I'm just going to show you another one, just this bigger one up here. Maybe you can see a little bit better. So I'm going to cut this off. Yeah, and do the back to the chain stitch with the just regular 3 strands of 1 plain color because I don't really want to waste the 2 colors if I'm not going to be using it as 2 colors, if that makes sense. I could also fill in with the lighter color if I wanted to, but I quite like the dark just in case. Oh, what's that? A very short ad for today. Normally it's like the ads are like 1 of 4 minutes long. And I'm like, oh, Christ. Can you just play the music that I want to play? Okay, so we're back to the chain stitch now. I'm going to do it down here on this one. Let me just tighten that up. And again, any way that you want to do your chain stitch is fine. You could also do a split stitch for this if you don't like the chain stitch or you think that the chain stitch is a little bit too time consuming or whatever. Some people just have stitches that they don't like for no reason. They're just irritated by them. So if that's you, then use a different one. The split stitch will give the same effect. I would probably use more strands if you were doing just a plain split stitch because the split stitch tends to be a little bit, where do we use it on here? Split stitch. In the curtains. It tends to do a thinner line than the chain stitch. So just think about that when you do your outlines. Also, you'll need to put more rows in to fill it in. And I'm just going a little bit smaller with my stitches on the curves, just so I can make sure that it's curved. and not like a straight line. But if you wanted to do it that way, you can do it that way as well. I think that the chain stitch helps me use both my hands when I'm stitching, because I find that sometimes I do everything with just one hand, with my right hand. Another reason for the Band-Aid today. Someone just said, how would you do the bottom half stone? Would you just stop and end it? Yep. So normally I would hold it up to the light. Hold it up to the light. I'm just going to guess here. Like that. Just do your fill to fill it in like that. And obviously this is one of those where I should have done the stone first before this, but that's okay. We're just going to fill that in a little bit by tucking it under. And then we'll just start and stop right here at the leaf, and that way it will be good enough. Obviously, the more, I don't know why I took such a deep breath there. Like I was about to do like a monologue or something. But I was just thinking, obviously the more strands that you use for the padded part, the thicker off the fabric it's going to be. So if you wanted to do a really thick one, a really up in the air, a padded one, really padded one, then you could do more strands. I just chose 3 because of the outline, and I thought that 6 might be a little bit too thick. But again, totally up to you. Totally fine. Whatever you feel like. It's okay. What a big stone there is here. Gonna have to get more thread soon. Now obviously I'm making these ones in the middle much bigger than the ones on the edge. That's because I'm just gonna fill that in. So can't really go much farther. Okay, I'm just getting a little bit more thread just to fill that in right there. It probably would be fine, but I really don't want to have that dip in my stone. I want it to be nice and padded like that. Okay, snip off the extra. Back in business. And I cut it extra long because I know I'm gonna have to go back and do the rest of them, so it doesn't really make sense to just cut what I have, like for what I need right now, you know, because I'm gonna use it again later anyways. So yeah, it is extra long. And let's just do one big fat chain stitch in the bottom. Everybody posting in the Barmy Fox Facebook group, they all look so good. I'm so proud. You have no idea. Okay, so now we've done the chain stitch fill. We can go back to the two colors. Elizabeth, I'm just gonna save it to Instagram, the IGTV before YouTube, and you can go back and have a little watch. He just said it's chain stitch. So this is the padded satin stitch. So we've added the padding. And now we're gonna add the chain stitch on top, the satin stitch on top. So let me zoom in again so you can see a little bit better. I'm gonna do the same horizontal over top so that all the stones look similar. Yeah, for this one, I'm going to start on this side so I can stick these here up under that leaf. Now, I think the key with this is to not, this is gonna sound silly, but to not get them too close, okay? But not get them too far apart either. So you want them to lay just like a regular satin stitch on top. So that's why it can be a little bit difficult, because I know some people like to do the lines on there, and they said that they've been super helpful in making their satin stitches nice and parallel to each other. But the good part is that if they are a little bit too far apart, your satin stitches, because we've done the darkest color underneath of there, then, you know, you won't be able to see through it. Whereas if you were to just do like a white thread, or even just with regular satin stitch, then you'll be able to see what's underneath the satin stitch more easily. The reason for the double layer is because that's what the stitch is called. This is the padded satin stitch. So the underneath layer gives it the padding. That's not nice. The layer underneath gives it the padding, and then the satin stitch on top gives it that finished look. And that's what the stitch is called. The padded satin stitch. And like, obviously I'm just showing you different stitches that you could use, you know? You don't have to use any of these in your own pattern. And you can even tell that I've gone overlapping here because the lines have gone down. I'm not gonna fix it though. I'm just gonna keep it like that. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's okay. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to, you could also do the grass in between these. Very close there, aren't they? Goodness. A bit too close. So let me tie this off, and then I will do the side view again, and you can have a little look how the two of them look together. So here's these two. Yeah, and when you turn it to the side, they are two little padded BBs. Yeah, so these will actually make it a bit more off your fabric. Can you tell that way? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it's better just the regular way. So there we go. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 to do. Obviously, you don't have to do them all today. They do take a bit of work, as you've seen, because you have to basically stitch them twice. Although the first round of stitching doesn't have to be perfect or nice or neat or anything, because obviously you're gonna fill it. You're gonna cover it. You know, so it doesn't really matter that much. I would say though, try to do the outside edge neat if possible, because that's going to give you that nice little lip on the side there. So yeah, I hope you like it. It's really hard to not do the same stitches over and over and over, especially when they are effective, like the satin stitch. You can use the satin stitch to fill anything, everything. But it's nice to learn different ones as well. So here we have the padded satin stitch. So I hope that you liked it. Give it a go. Obviously, if you don't like the look of it, you don't have to use it. Yeah, I think that's it for me. My mother-in-law is moving in with us back tomorrow, so I'm going to spend the day waiting for my deliveries. My threads are meant to be here today, but he hasn't messaged me to say that he's actually sent them yet. So I'm a little bit like, oh, are they going to come or not? So once those come, I have to have a little look through and make sure all the colors are there, and then I can put all of the kits plus 2 new kits back on the website, and I'm so stoked for that. So again, like the kits are super limited, so if you want one, turn on post notifications for the day today and tomorrow, I guess. And yeah, other than that, I'm just tidying up the house again, you know, so that she's comfortable. So be sure to hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL. Go to the hashtag, like and comment other people's hoops. And then make sure you tag me at the Barmy Fox. Make sure it comes up with that little line underneath so that it definitely tags me. And then I can repost all of your lovely houses. They're looking amazing. Like, amazing. I'm so proud. Like, you have no idea. So with that, I will leave you. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. All right? Bye.